Humans are increasingly showing ambitions beyond the Earth's atmosphere, and the most ideal destination at this time is none other than the Moon. Great powers did not hesitate to spend a lot of money serving the discovery of the Earth's natural satellite. China is making strong strides to prove that its goal of putting humans on the Moon by 2030 is no joke. If China completes this mission, it may be the second country in the world to send its citizens to Earth's satellite after the United States. In today's video, Top Wonders will share with you the latest space news, including China revealing secret information and unexpected discoveries on the Moon. But before we get into the main issue, if you would please show your favorites by liking the video and subscribing to the channel to follow more interesting content. Now, without waiting any longer, let's start exploring this fascinating subject. On March 28th, Chinese researchers announced the discovery of an abundant water source on the Moon. A report detailed the analysis of soil samples taken from Chang'e 5 by the China National Space Administration, which took place in late 2020. A lander equipped with drills and excavators has been sent to the lunar surface, carrying on it the daring task of drilling, finding, and collecting the latest lunar samples in the Oceanus Procellarum Delta, and returning the samples to Earth aboard a waiting orbiter. The materials returned to the Earth from the Moon are filled with glass particles called microtektite, which are formed when meteorites crash into the surface of a regular airless environment on the Moon. The heat of the impact melts the silicon present in the soil. However, the regolith layer on the Moon also contains moderate amounts of oxygen, so the melted silicon and oxygen-filled lava are launched into the Moon's sky. Then, it's affected by ionized hydrogen particles from the nearly constant solar wind. Silica begins to cool off around these reaction pockets, and boom! We have H2O trapped in the tiny glass particles that cover the lunar surface. Researchers believe we can extract water relatively easily by collecting some regolith and sifting it to collect particles, boiling them, and then refrigerating. Since these particles are common in all types of soil on the Moon, from the equator to the poles, this is a solution that can be used anywhere on the Moon. Moreover, researchers have found that these particles could be responsible for creating the reservoirs of water beneath the lunar surface that scientists have been waiting to study for decades. The research paper actually begins by citing the fact that lunar exploration has detected significant amounts of water on the Moon's surface over the past 2 decades. We have seen and confirmed that water ice is trapped at the poles, where there is almost constant shade in the deep pockets created by meteorite impacts. Experiments like the 2009 LC-Ross mission can help NASA verify that there is a layer of water hidden beneath the top regolith. But according to one paper, what NASA discovered is likely a concentrated layer of particles. The researchers believe that over time, the microstructures created by meteorite impacts are buried under the top layers of lunar lava and slowly move under the surface at the right temperature. The particles then slowly release trapped water. However, the Moon has no atmosphere, so the temperature fluctuates severely and steadily at the equator, ranging from 120 degrees Celsius during the day to minus 130 degrees Celsius at night, and possibly even colder at the poles. So this frequent temperature change regenerates the underground aquifers that NASA has discovered on the Moon. This leads to several conclusions. Firstly, it was exciting to discover that the Moon has a renewable source of water generated by energy from meteorite impacts. That means we can start planning for more permanent habitation, not just on the Moon, but also on other airless planets. This process is most likely to occur everywhere struck by solar winds and meteors. But it also means that we are not just limited to trying to establish habitats at the poles of these worlds, or opening up entire surfaces to explore. Secondly, We have a stable way to produce not only water, but also oxygen for breathing and hydrogen for fuel. We have known that regolith on the moon can contain a lot of hydrogen and oxygen, and experiments have been planned to find ways to get those elements out by other means. This is an additional source of those important elements. That means the moon is likely to be a more stable functioning base than we thought. The researchers say more tests need to be done before they can confirm the process of extracting water from glass beads. This discovery really opens up the belief that the moon is the residence. More importantly, it is the basis for the exploration of the rest of the solar system. Launching rockets from the moon is a much easier proposition than trying to get them through Earth's dense atmosphere and heavy gravity. The presence of water on the moon could shed more light on the evolution of the solar system. It could also indicate the path to an in situ water source that is crucial to long-term human habitation on the moon. The scientists said, the source and distribution of water on the moon remains an open question, and there has been no consensus yet. If given enough time, our moon could become a very important center for the next generation space race. Researchers at University of Arizona are developing a way for a rover to explore caves on distant planets using Wi-Fi breadcrumbs to avoid getting lost. The lead researcher, Wolfgang Fink, described the idea as robots using Hansel and Gretel-style breadcrumbs. That he said in this scenario that breadcrumbs were miniature sensors piggybacking on the rovers that deployed sensors as they passed through caves or other subsurface environments. It's actually a pretty simple solution conceptually. The robots drop and scatter small devices behind them at regular intervals. They act like communication relays, almost like tiny Wi-Fi hubs, allowing the rovers to talk to each other, from which their program controls and explores what they can do. Inevitably, the data will come back to Earth. Rovers will have a total facility, a robotic hub that relays data from cave divers back to Earth. Fink says that this gross facility will typically only collect data passively, but can also be used for direct control of one of the offspring rovers. If that happens, the small exploration drones themselves will need to be fitted with light-detecting radar sensors to help find their way, but must also have a robust algorithm to govern their search patterns and allow them to compensate. This is because they're designed to be disposable. His team believes that it would be a waste of resources to try to recover these robots once they enter the cave, so they would be designed to go as far as possible and then be abandoned. Controlling rover drones and landers on distant planets from Earth to Mars are always complex signals, taking about 40 minutes just to make the journey and back. So communication is very difficult, a slow process with missions planned for locations as far away as Saturn's planet Titan, and even the solar system. We realized we needed better automation in every solution to handle time constraints and signals in hour, day, or even years. The team believed that the system has applications for caves, such as Titan having vast lakes that can be explored in this way, Jupiter's planet Europa having a vast ocean beneath its icy crust. These situations are guaranteed to make it difficult for any automated mission to keep in touch with the Earth. However, a cheap communication system can be a simple way to solve that problem. This new space race is being led by an explosion of new trade bodies and industry experts. Let's talk about how we need to change the current system to support this growth. One of the biggest questions being asked today is how we can certify doctors currently working in space. Most agencies use the old legal framework system that often results in only current or former military personnel being allowed to take on the job. For example, NASA already employs officers it calls flight surgeons, medical professionals who are not only highly trained in many fields, such as neurology and family medicine, but are also required to be certified in aerospace medicine, usually the field of military studies. All of these additional requirements mean that NASA flight surgeons typically have around 12 to 14 years of training, which may sound a bit too strict, but if you think about what the job needs of these doctors, it makes sense. Medical professionals in space have to learn many branches of medicine and keep up to date with new technologies and treatment protocols, because if something goes wrong in orbit, they are the only ones who can help. It does not help if there is a specialist on board who can only treat one type of disease or injury. Currently, companies like SpaceX are looking to hire NASA-certified flight surgeons. As crew missions lengthen, it's not surprising that there is currently a shortage of trained and certified flight surgeons. With the rapid expansion of space activities emerging in the future, something needs to be done quickly to solve this problem. Several institutions tried to find ways to speed up the process. For example, in February, a study from Western University in Canada looked at developing an international accreditation framework for licensed physicians in orbital medicine that focused on the specific level of Canadian legislation, in which doctors are required to have a license to practice in each locality where they need to practice. However, note that this is a similar issue with certifying flight surgeons for the entire world. They identify that the problem is mainly due to the regulatory frameworks we currently have, originating from the spaceflight industry run by the military or government. There are many doctors with the necessary experience, but not many systems that meet the stringent requirements for certification. There is still no clear direction to create a universal licensing system. The issue is not whether this will happen, only when. Commercial mandates will continue to increase in number, and if we want to keep visitors safe in space, we will need to have doctors accompany them. How do you feel about today's video? Let us know what you think in the comments section. And if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to click the like button below. This really helps us. Subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with lots of exciting content from Top Wonders. Goodbye for now and see you soon.